This is video 2 of 2 for 226, starting with the letter K. All right, we have Kellogg's, stable company, stable shelf. I would expect support hold. If it doesn't hold, then it goes down to 63. Period. End of story. Sellers at 69 and 70. If you take that out, you get to 72. Very easy. So there's nothing really to do except guess which way it goes. If I'm long, I don't do anything. If I'm short, I don't do anything. I just manage the risk. If you want to take a trade, you're guessing which way it goes. KO, similar scenario. You can see these dotted lines are part of a Fibonacci ratio. The rally was too big. This was half of it. This is the golden zone. So it has natural support. This was my arrow. This is the official arrow of this inverse cup and handle. This was my target. So it could bleed a little bit lower. I can tell you it has support inside these two lines, and it has resistance into 61.5. Kroger, okay, so support, yes. There we go. Proven solid support, but must hold. I mean, these are long-term support. There's no reason to lose them. If I'm long, I'm not getting out now. It's too late. I might get a bump to 44.5, 45. I do have sellers at 45.5. That's not my opinion. It's these guys right there. So if you want to get long, credit put spread maybe, unless there's earnings. Lennar, I'm not a fan of home builders. If Powell is out to destroy the economy, I mean, how are they still making money? That is bizarre. It's I don't understand what's going on. No touch for me, home builders, but it hasn't played out. You'd think that they'd be in the direct line of fire from the Fed, but look at what's going on. I just don't understand what's going on. So let's look at the chart and forget the fundamental. They did have a breakout from about here. They went to here, and now, okay, so I have a path. So maybe they bounce and they found sellers, and then they take this out and come back to the neckline, and then you can go long. That's a potential path. Lily, freaking Lily. If you know me, that makes sense. Look how well I chart Lily. I can't trade it worth crap. I can't stand it. Johnson & Johnson too. It's on my crap list from now on. Look, that's my arrow. Look where it went 3 times. So from that perspective, it's a better buy into this zone than an exit. There are sellers up here. I bet you there are sellers lower now. And it's a bigger box. So yeah, you can get long, or if you're long, it's too late to get out. Okay. Are you in here? Whoever asked me for this one, can you tell me what your thoughts are? How about I tell you what my thoughts are? That's a no touch. If you're asking me to get long, I would say you and I need to have a conversation. I would never, ever take a long into a place like this, or a long after a 25% spike. No. You want to get long, you get long at 62. But it may never get there. Okay, you missed it. If you're long, what you waiting for? If you're in it for an investment, that's something else. If you're in it for a trade, you got all the money. Short, it's a THTA. I don't know anything about this company. And how would I short it? It's definitely not one that I would anticipate it being liquid with options. So how would you short it? If the options are liquid, you can buy a put. But I don't know. I wouldn't short the stock outright. Just buy a put and stop out. Blitz. LTHM. Livent. Okay, so it had a rally and it's giving up half of it. There's a gap down to 21. It shouldn't get there, but it is possible. So how about 50% of the rally is where? It's at 50%. So it could bleed below 22. If I'm long the stock and I didn't exit up here, it's too late to exit here. If I can withstand another $1 of loss, $1.50 or something like that. Is it an entry point? It could be, but not all in. Yeah, Echo, thanks. I thought so. LUV, it is a buy the dip because it's into a prior balance, not because I like the company. I would exit in panic if they lose this line, 32. Because they might lose 31 and 30, and if they do that, I think they're going to like 25. There's no sign of that, but it's possible. Look, it does behave my lines. It does respect my lines quite well. So it is a good bounce and exit. And if I take longs and it loses that one, I would exit. MasterCard, it was a better short than long, and I did share that, I think. Okay, it could bounce to 360, 365, and you exit. They might be selling rallies. Sellers will show up. Which means on a bounce, sell a call spread against your put spread. One second here. Okay. Mondelez, I haven't traded in a long time. Look how choppy that thing is. You have support below and resistance above, and it's ping-ponging inside of that. 67 bumpers and 64 bumpers, give or take a few cents. So just trade the range until the range breaches. And when they breach the range, one side or the other, chase it in that direction. MDT, look at this. This came to fruition almost perfectly. And they came back to test. That's what the IWM was doing. They broke out. They come back to test the neckline. So they tested it 1 too many times, if you ask me. So now they're liable to come back to 81 or 80. So if it does come back to 80, below 81, it's a gift to go long and repeat the process. They are buying dips, so this rally might come. If they take this out, they might finish this job, but that doesn't look that easy. So that arrow is not very easy. I'll leave it there for now. You can buy calls for a rally, but you should know that they're going to be sell off. So maybe from here they rally, they come back down, they rally, they come back down, and then they eventually target that in an ascending channel. Meta, it's still not an obvious entry point. This rally was so stupid that it makes it untradeable for me, untouchable. It was so stupid. This is so stupid. And I cannot believe that not a lot of people are talking about my concern. My concern is that it has shrinking sales 2 quarters in a row. Double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's 2 quarters. And what if the third quarter comes out and it's shrinking? Will they also still not care? I like the company. I just don't like the management. And there's no obvious trade here. Maybe a credit put spread, maybe an iron condor, but I think there are easier trades out there than this one. Base at 150, sure. So if I sell a credit put spread, definitely not above 150. MGM, it was vulnerable. It's doing its thing towards my vulnerable arrow. I don't think it's vulnerable to 38, but it's not an easy long here. There should be buyers into 41, 42 and a half, 42 to 41 zone here. There should be buyers, but on the bounce, there will also be sellers. And then they might revert lower and lose those buyers and come back and finish to like closer to 40 or 39 would be better entry point for me. This one is falling into support. There should be buyers into 10, 950. Don't know the company. Do your homework. If I'm long the company already, I'm not adding. If I'm looking to get long and I had missed the rally, this is your opportunity. And please don't go all in. This is a pretty fast moving stock, clearly. So regardless of your conviction, I don't think you're going to nail the entry point. This one I would totally avoid. It has headlines, and it's falling very fast. This line was a must hold, and it's lost. So unknown risk below it. Behind this, I don't know where it goes. So if it loses that support right there, I mean, it could be 2 digits. All right, Mosaic, not an obvious entry point. Next time it dips below 47, consider it. Up here, it's too high for me. Morgan Stanley, it's a short. It was an easy short last week, or a couple weeks ago. It's still a short, and I think I spoke to a few of you about doing a put calendar to short it. And if you did that, then that put died for maximum gains. You can repeat it, but sell lower than 97 next time. So you own a put out in time, and it was $2, and then you're selling. You collected 50 cents from selling one put, which died in your favor. So now you only paid $1.50. You can repeat it again for another 30 cents, and then hold that put to see how much it can pay you in the end. Kind of like my GE trade. Microsoft, it is falling into a support zone about half the rally. I think the rally was too big. So my issue with Microsoft is the expectations are now so high. And look at that. Look at that arrow and how it played out. I mean, we don't draw these after the fact. Look at this, how that red arrow played out. Almost, look, perfectly. So it's falling into a pretty strong base, and the base is wide. That was a ridiculous candle, and they priced it all out. So if I was saying, oh man, I can't believe I missed it, I start nibbling. How? I would start with a credit put spread. Okay, so it should be on my list. I prefer Google from a value perspective, but Microsoft is acting better. MSTR, I personally would not touch it. If you lose 240, 239, get out, because you're probably going to lose 10, 20, 30, $40 from there. It's too high. And on rallies, exit. If you do have support, you have support from this guy. But if you lose that guy, exit. So you can get long into the support and trade it, but stop out. Make sure to put a stop out. If I'm already long, I'm not adding. Micron. Okay, so they could get a bounce. Sellers are going to show up into 60. And if they hold 57, that's great. If not, I think you can get in at 54 or 53. Maybe even 52. So rallies are going to be met by sellers. And we'll see what happens there. NCR, I don't know why I would want to get long. From a technical basis, this says there's hope for 26.5, 27, but there's no confirmation of that. So somewhere here lies an entry point for a bounce into 25. That's the best thing I can tell you on that. Netflix, beware of the bounce. The bounce may come, but you may draw a right shoulder and finish the job to 290. A lot of people in the room, a couple of people have left the service, are super long to 480 or whatever the number was. Hopefully they had stops, because this is a fast moving stock, and it rallied from point A to point B, and it's given back half. This has all the legitimacy of a bounce zone, but there will be sellers. And if the sellers are good, they will bring it back and make you lose that and come back down. If it comes back down below 300, it makes for a better entry point. For now, they're buying dips, so you should buy the dip. Buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, dip, buy it, and exit on the rally. Not for me. I think you'll have better chance lower. NVIDIA, not for me. I think you'll have a better chance lower. And even if it rallies, I mean, this scares me for the whole market. This is a major company which will drag a major segment with it, chip sector. So SMH, XLK, XLK, SMH for sure. What the fudge is this? Have you ever seen a chart like this? And please don't say yes, because you're lying if you are. You don't see major companies have a chart that builds upside from here. When you have, I can pass a bus through everything without touching anything. That doesn't happen. Okay, that doesn't happen. So that scares me, because that means NVIDIA needs to fall 4 or 5%. The SMH will drag hopefully it's a rotation out of the NASDAQ into the IWM when it happens, if it happens. OMC, it's not for me. If you lose 90.5 or 90.2, you're probably going to get it for 87 or 88. Oxy, still not for me. Sell the rallies in Oxy at the risk of missing out on the golden headline that everybody's waiting, that Buffett is going to make money off of it. No, Buffett is not going to make money off of it. Buffett is buying it for the cash flow, not for the stock. So it has a base. It is a starting point from a trading perspective, because the last time it was here, bounced. So yeah, the assumption is it bounces. What happens after the bounce? Okay, so yeah, I give you it should bounce, but I also tell you that they're selling rallies, so they should sell this one and then finish the job. So if they lose this one, this line, this thing here is still there, and finish this job. So this is still here. This is the target. This is my initial target. So this is a bounce level. I don't add if I'm already long. Okay, yeah, buy all in. All in the fee in the view. That's not for me. Palo Alto Networks, you missed it. First of all, giant gap. Second of all, giant failing level. And double gap. Almost a triple gap. You can drive through here without touching a tick. Look, you drive through here, higher, there's a gap, there's another gap, there's another gap, and a gap, and you get out of here. You didn't touch anything. That is not a good zone. So not a good zone, not a good starting point. Short it? No, not for me, but you could. Paramount falling into short-term support around 21. If you lose 21, you might have the opportunity to buy it into 19, get long into 19. Versus the opportunity above 25. So you have a catalyst below with support, catalyst above with resistance. So it's ping pong between 21 and 24.5, 25 for now. Oh my gosh, what is this? What is this company? Engaged in design and manufacture of light, medium, and heavy duty trucks. Is it an EV company? J, short again, if it has options, yeah, you can. Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's, oh, the stock split. Yeah, so I can't tell you anything until it adjusts itself. What are these things? Public service enterprises. Yeah. Buyers and sellers fighting it out between 59 and 62.5. If you lose 59, I think you go to 57 or 56.5. Perry, not an obvious entry point. Better closer to 30. Pfizer, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. It's a headline stock always and now more than ever, and it's a political statement now. I wouldn't touch it. From a trading perspective, this stock, not being Pfizer, this stock is falling into support, and it should bounce from the support. If you lose that support, which extends to 40, 41, you risk a giant drop, which is not probable, but it is possible. So from a trading perspective, this is a good starting point for a rally. From a crazy perspective, it is a total gamble. I am long the stock. I'm very profitable. I did not close up here, where I was extremely profitable, because my intention is to hold it for the long term, and it's smaller position. I'm not at 100%. So if it gets cut down to $7 or $6, I will add more. Philip Morris. Pretty big rally. It gave it all up. So now it's trying to establish a base. It's not a solid base, so it could drift down to 94. What I can tell you is expect sellers into 101. So if it does rally to 101, I think it fades and it goes a little bit lower than 98. PNM, definitely not an obvious long. And closer to 48.50 maybe, with immediate stops, because if that is lost, 48 comes. Above here, I would get out of shorts. It might go a lot further. So I don't know what's to the left of it. Oh, Jesus. Okay, look at this. Yeah. So just know what is this? You don't see these often. I bet you this is a concrete wall. There's no way above it. That's my initial reaction. So study the company. Don't buy it because of that hope of the breakout. This is just too organized. The Qs, again, it's the market. The market is trying to establish a base for a rally. And you have to consider that my comments on NVIDIA are going to impact the QQQ. So there is a potential that the Qs are at 282 this week or 302. And there are sellers at 298. RCL, this was my thought, and it's come down towards it. It's not an obvious long. It looks like they're selling rallies. So if they cannot go above 74, there's a chance they bleed back down to 76 and finish my job. Wow. Okay. Gambles are us over here. Nothing from the chart. Has a high, has a low, it's exactly in the middle, and it's extremely violent. Be careful. For me, it is, Lou, Palantir, it is an investment, but it is a speculative investment because they spend a lot of money and Wall Street hates it. So I'm not going with a comfortable, cushy company. And they've been around for like 15 years. So they're not new. But this is like Netflix and Roku, I should say. Roku's had been around for 16 years before it just started making money because they were early. And now then the market came to them, the streaming market. Well, Palantir, they were early. And now AI, everybody wants AI, and they're already there. This is a good support zone. I don't like this Head and Shoulders they just lost, so I think they could bleed down to 99, but you can't like pinpoint the perfect entry point. So be careful. If I'm long, I'm not adding. If I want to take longs, I should know that I could suffer another $5 and it would still be okay. In fact, I'll put it on my Starbucks too. Maybe starting to get prime for a credit put spread. C's. Good company. This green thing says it could bounce to 64. So from a trading perspective, the support into 56 could give you a rally to 64. If you're long, it's worth holding. But I wouldn't add. Look at this. Are you kidding me? Look at this. Okay, they went to the moon before they came down, but that was my target from weeks ago. That was the target they're bouncing off now. Shopify, it is a long. You saw my trade setup. I would definitely go long on dips, and this was a good dip. If I'm long something like Shopify, I don't need to buy the dip, but I offered a couple of ideas on credit put spreads live, and I shared one in writing. I shared this one in writing, which is a lot more aggressive than this one. I don't usually accept $1 in credit. That means my odds of success are starting out much worse than my normal. But it's far out in time enough that I may scalp at 50% of maximum gains if I'm available, if it gives me the opportunity. I wouldn't touch this, but this is a good starting point. Again, this one is I'm betting on the crypto asset and the crypto banks, and this literally is one of the quote banks. Who's to say they are going to be here? I'm not going to risk my money on crypto and risk my money on a company who might go out of business. So my crypto account is already in a crypto.com platform, which is at risk of going out of business. I'm trading well, so I have the added risk of going out of business. This one has it too. So if I'm starting with something, I would use B2. I wouldn't use this one. Silver, like gold, it's coming into an entry point. They were both along, and I shared them, and they paid extremely well. This was one breakout I shared, and this was another breakout. They're coming down into the base from which they sprang. So into 1850 would be fine. Here, it's not fine yet. I think I wouldn't touch it until it fills this gap. Silver is, the ETF is SLV. It's pretty tricky, so you should know how to trade it. At the money or in the money legs only, no spreads. If you want to short it, you buy an in the money put or at the money put out in time. If you want to buy it, you either buy the silver SLV or you buy calls that are in the money or at the money out a month or two. Don't mess around with these pennies option prices. Okay. Snow should have support. Look at it. Bounced hard, failed hard. Somewhere in the middle lies the truth, and you have a whole mess of buyers below. So 144, 140 is a good support zone. Okay, earnings are coming. Never mind. Whatever I said doesn't even matter. The earnings is a coin flip, the reaction to the earnings. But Nick, they're going to do well. Yeah. Okay. So rally from here to here, giving back to find footing. They have buyers here. So into 3,900, we have footing. If we get to 3,890-ish, I would take longs in size, relative size, and I would hedge myself immediately. So if I spend, say, 2,000 buying calls, I would spend a couple of hundred buying puts as well, different time frame, in case I'm wrong. Same comments here. Square. I would like to get long on dips into 72. They're selling 78 to 79. They're buying 74 to 72. So expect that to continue. Good company. They just reported earnings and they rallied. I was hoping they would stay down. After market, they fell. I was like, all right, the next day I'm going to trade it. And I wake up, it was up big. I was like, gosh, dang it. So maybe PayPal would be a better long here than this one. Not a better company, just better levels. I don't know what that is. Okay, this is support. So if 82 holds, then you're good. But I think 90, 91 is sold by sellers. So we'll see what happens there. If you lose 82, you can come down to 76. And better hope not lose 76. I don't even want to mention how far it will fall. AT&T, I wouldn't touch it. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what's left in the company, what's they spun off. The business. Hopefully you don't work for it, because I've never done business with AT&T, and I said, "Wow, that's pretty impressive." And I've said, "Wow, that is as crappy as it gets." So, dividend, is it? Okay, there are easier dividends than this one. I would prefer Verizon over this one for dividends. Heck, I would prefer the 10-year bond from the government that pays me 4%. That's guaranteed. Over the, you buy this and you get 5% dividend and the stock falls 20%. So, yeah, it's not for me. It's like range bound too. There's no clear direction to it. Who is this? Molson. Wow. Yeah, this is not a long. This is definitely not a long. I would get long it. If I own it, there's nothing to do. I would have closed it here. Why? Look left. And you have higher low trend. You should take advantage of dips. If you wanted to buy it into 52, I get it. TQQQ. So everything I said about the Q works here. Okay, so I never trade these. And don't accumulate these. They don't act well over time. So what you should do is just in and out, in and out. And don't do spreads on these either. Tesla, not an obvious entry point. There's a chance Tesla is below 165 or 160 in the next couple of weeks. I don't know if it does it or not. This is a moronic way to build an upside move. Okay, that's all I'm saying. If Tesla cannot hold 215, it should revert back down to 160 or lower. That doesn't mean you go out and buy put. It's hard to do that. You sell a call spread if you want to trade that. Taiwan. Anything that has Taiwan in the headline, I'm not touching. Again, you're risking your money on the stock market, on the company itself, on the fact that we have shortages in chips, and then on top of it, you're risking it on headlines of skirmishes in words between Biden and China. And that is like the dumbest set of headlines I ever see between US and China banter over Taiwan. And so eliminate one of those and use the SMH or something that is not tied to Taiwan. At least eliminate one of those variables. The company itself is fine. I guess I should comment on the chart. It's not an obvious entry point, Taiwan. Closer to 84 or lower would be better. Tyson Foods, avoid. There are talks of bird flu this and bird flu that. It's a descending channel. If you own it and you haven't stopped out, you should put yourself a price where you say, I'm not going to hold it lower. If you lose these two, you're going to 54 or 52. And you have a big seller up here. So if you take out this seller, you get to 72. For now, you have a pretty clear range. Tusk. Mammoth Energy Services. Did you hear they're bringing back the woolly mammoth? No joke. Pretty weird chart. Okay, it has support here. Secondary support is around 4, and it has sellers into 6.5. Unity. A couple people mistraded the earnings. The earnings reaction was proper the way it happened if you read the options chain. So if I'm not long and I was looking to get long, this is a good opportunity to get long Unity into these two. I don't know much about the company, but people who love it, people who trade it, love it. It looks like Palantir, it makes money, but it loses a lot of money, and it's a tough business to be in. So if you long Palantir, don't be long Unity too. Bad management now in TSN. Okay, thanks. So it does have support. If I got long here and it fell into support, I would have to wait it out and see what happens. So I guess maybe it is tradable. I don't know much about it. I'll have to read the headlines and see what they had. How are the sales progressing and things like that, because I'm interested. So the sales growth is not there. The losses are growing, so it's not an easy explosion. Extinction version 2. Hey, but they did it. So I can't believe how well I traded this thing for us, and I don't even know anything about it. So this is the kind of stock where you buy it, the stock, or in the money calls out in time, and you say, I'm willing to lose this much and I'm out. It could make you a lot of money, but I don't know anything about natural gas. So I don't know if it's ever going back to 16 or it's going back to 16 like next week. I don't know that. But I know that I was long here, I got paid pretty quickly, and then I got long here, I got paid, and then I could have gone long at 7, but I didn't because I really don't know much about it. It's a better long than a short here as a speculative bet, and it's not bad to actually buy shares so that you eliminate the time element. UNH, somebody says, where's the bottom in UNH? Right there. Look at this. They hit my target and they bounced off of it. Okay, and I put the circle with resistance, and they're selling it inside the resistance, and the sellers are in charge. That's that green arrow. We've charted it perfectly. So if you were surprised by the price action with UNH, when we traded it as well, I remember sending a trade on UNH. I would do an iron condor on UNH, in fact. If you forced me to trade it, I would sell a put spread to withstand another dip into this chunk, and sell a call spread that would hide above this. But this is a headline stock, and I want to caution you. This is the heaviest stock in the Dow. What happens to this one happens to the Dow. UNP, I wouldn't touch it. That whole industry went crazy last year, absolutely crazy. And there's a chance it's following my red path. From a trading perspective, I can tell you there are sellers, and they're selling inside the circle, and there are buyers. So ping pong inside of that. So this might bounce one more time and come back down. If you're actually actively trading this into 184 and out of 204, kudos, but exit below here because you don't know where it's going. Urban Outfitters, not my jam. I think sellers into 27.5, and if that's the case, I think they will lose this bounce from last week and end up at 24. If you lose 23.3, or which shouldn't happen, but if you do, it's going to like the teenagers. But this is a good support zone, so I would assume that it has support here, here, and lower, but it also has sellers, so there's not much to do. Vale, however you pronounce it. Vulnerable, boom. I wish I had shorted it. Look at that. Wow. Bounce. So are they tracing my arrow or not? I think they will do half of it at least. Target 1, target 2. It hit target 1. Let's see target 2. Verizon, I would get long here if I want to get paid. It does pay 7% almost, and that's a quality company. Look at the income. Solid as can be. Solid. So good dividend play in my opinion. I don't know anything about I don't use them. They have higher lows, higher highs. If they by miracle take out 42, they go to 47. If they cut the dividend or smelling of cuts the dividend, it collapses. So it's a dividend play. It's a good entry point. Stock, not calls. Okay, this one is what? Walgreens Boots Alliance. Very easy word to say. Walgreens Boots Alliance. Look, it just flows. I can say it. Walgreens Boots Alliance. Sell puts in Verizon? No, because then you don't get the dividend. So the idea is here that it has support. So I don't see a disaster, but there's no reason why it's not 35. So if you can withstand a dollar loss, it's okay to hold. Depends on what your upside potential is in your mind. I think there are sellers into 38, hard sellers. So I don't know how I would trade this and why. Dividends? Yep, high dividends. Yeah, I prefer Verizon. More stable. WBD. I wouldn't touch it. That's AT&T, the spinoff of AT&T. That is a mess. That is a mess. This should be a wall. So for me, this is hard sellers. There's no reason I should get long here. Maybe a dip into 13 or 1350. Is this the last one? No, it's not. WFC, also not an entry point. I'm bearish banks, and this one is not really like, this one doesn't act like a bank always. So above 49, you get to 53. But I think it's better to buy the dip. Look at these candles. What the fudge? So below 45 is much better. Exxon, you should just mortgage everything and buy all oil stocks. No. Exxon was a short and it played out. I don't know if it's an easy short here. On rallies, I would reshort. I think 114 plus has a lot of resistance and sellers, and it could bleed to finish my turquoise arrow into that second support. So it was a short, but it's weird how it outperforms Chevron. That's very weird. I don't know what this is. Xperi, not an obvious entry point. It rallied from here to here. It has a mess of sellers up there and a strong buyer down here. So closer to 1050 maybe again. XRT, 50% of the retracement is done. It rallied from here to here and it gave back 50. Rallied from here to here, it gave back more than 50. So somewhere into 65, there is a buyer. I don't know if there's enough credit put spread to be done there. Beware of the rallies. You will have sellers at 69. Just look into what's XRT. I don't remember who's into it. I'm sure Amazon is into it. Maybe FedEx. Zscaler, the mother of all momentum stocks. It delivered and then some, and it can bleed back down to 120. If it takes out 144, it's gone to 160 or 170. No joke. This one is incredibly violent. It's made us a lot of money, and it's lost a lot of people a lot of money too. Let me see here. Somebody's saying it's all small retail. I doubt it, but I'm going to check right now on the XRT. Last time I looked at it, I thought it was big guys. Carvana is the number one. Yeah, it is all small companies. Okay, good. That means it's easy. It's not easy to one stock whipsaw it left and right. Okay. And that's it. So Zscaler has support. Better entry under 124. In fact, I will put an alert. And if it goes above one, if you're long, that's fine. Put a stop. How much money you want to lose. And if you get to 144, trim and leave runners, because you could explode and go to 160 or 170. It's mind-blowing how fast it rallies and falls. I mean, like mind-blowing. I remember I was long for the group here somewhere, and it was like, I don't know. I exited at a 4x, and I could have 10x'd my 4x. It was an insane rally. So these are different times, but that's the kind of stock this is. So better on a dip to start longs, but if you're long here, it's not that bad. And always book losses and profits faster than normal these days. All right, so that's it. I'm going to stop the recording. There will be a video tonight for a strategy.